Hi, so today I've made a video for you on how to prep your vocals before you compress them. This may not seem like the most sexy subject, but it is actually a great thing to know and have in your back pocket when you are ready to start compressing your vocals inside of your mix. Because if you don't do this step, your compression is going to sound unnatural and overdone no matter what you do. Who am I? My name is Tyson Borman. I'm from DinosaurDogStudio.com. And if I were you, I would probably want to go to DinosaurDogStudio.com just to check out my portfolio to make sure that you actually like the sound of the mixes that I've done. If you don't like the mixes that I've done, you probably shouldn't pay attention to me, and you should probably go find somebody else to actually follow and listen to their tutorials instead on YouTube. If you are interested in getting a mix done by me, I offer all new clients a free test mix. So before you ever lay down a single dollar, you can determine whether I am a good person to work with or not for your music. So with that said, let's dive into prepping your vocals for compression. The first step that we're going to do is actually not gain stage, but gain level, I like to say, our vocal before it actually gets into the compression stage. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either, number one, you can add a gain plugin to the chain and then pull up your automation and actually automate that gain. You know, gain up those sections that are a little bit quiet, gain down those syllables that are a little bit loud, and so on and so forth. That's not my preferred technique. It works great. However, what I like to do in Logic, because you have this great feature, if you just hold down the command key and then select a bar, it'll separate it, so it'll cut that little section out, and then you can adjust the gain on the information over here. You can open that here. So you can just actually gain level everything visually initially while you're trying to get everything set up. You can just go through here, gain these sections up because they're a little bit quiet. That word's really quiet. And as you can see, I can make everything really consistent. Let's move that down a little bit. So the reason why we do this is actually to make our vocal hit our compressors more evenly. The more work our compressors have to do, because the more dynamic the track is, the more unnatural the compression is actually going to sound. So by doing this, I'm actually making my compression sound more natural and more musical to the average listener. Let's gain that up a little bit. And so as you can tell, I'm not even listening to this right now. I am just doing this by visual, which actually works pretty well. We'll listen to it at the end just to make sure I didn't do anything crazy, but normally this works pretty well. I don't have to do too much after I gain stage it visually, or gain level it, I should say. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's listen to it really quick and see what we have.
'Cause who am I if you're rather uncertain? And what if I just gave you a little room to breathe? Tell me, baby, would that work for you and me? Who am I if you're rather uncertain? And what if I just gave you a little room to breathe? Tell me, baby, would that work for you and me?
Okay, so there's a few words there that I caught that sounded a little bit unnatural, so put those back down. But the last step that we need to do before we can call it quits is actually highlight all of these and crossfade it. So I have this drag function to crossfade, so whenever I drag another piece of audio across another one, it'll automatically crossfade it. So that'll prevent any major changes of volume between the different parts from actually popping and having, you know, unnatural noises inside the final track. So that should smooth it out a little bit. Let's listen to it one more time and see where we're at.
'Cause who am I if you're rather uncertain? And what if I just gave you a little room to? And what if I just gave you a little room to? And what if I just gave you a little room to breathe? Tell me, baby, would that work for you and me? Who am I if you're rather uncertain? uncertain? And what if I just gave you a little room to breathe? Tell me, baby, would that work for you and me?
Okay, so it's probably not quite there yet, but just for the sake of brevity, we'll keep it short. There, it's good enough for this example and to show you what we're doing. And our last step before we actually are able to start compressing this is to gain stage this. So our goal is for this audio to have a peak volume of around minus 12 decibels. The reason why we want that is because in the olden days when we were using analog equipment and tape, the ideal loudness level was around 0 because the tape could kind of absorb a little bit if it peaked above that. However, in the digital realm, when we recreated all of these analog tools like compressors and EQs, we had a true peak of 0 because in the digital realm, that is a true peak. You can't go above that. And so what we do is actually use a minus 12 decibel range as the new 0 for the digital realm versus the analog realm. So for the ideal level for any audio going into a piece of equipment in the digital realm, it is around minus 12 decibels. So what we're going to do is gain stage this piece of audio to around minus 12. I'm pretty sure it's pretty close, but let's pull up a metering plugin so we can test that out.
'Cause who am I if you're rather uncertain? And what if I just... 'Cause who am I if you're rather uncertain? 'Cause who am I if you're rather...
Yeah, so we're really peaking right there. Let's find out what's going on. Yeah, it's that right there.
'Cause who am I if you're rather uncertain? And what if I just gave you a little room to breathe? Tell me, baby, would that work for you and me? Who am I if you're rather uncertain? Who am I if you're
I got there again too.
rather... If you're rather uncertain, what if I just gave you a little room to breathe? Tell me, baby, would that work for you and me?
Okay, so that looks pretty good. I might actually, only take off a decibel there. Now we are finally ready for compression. So again, just to review what we did today is we put in our audio track, we chopped it up and gain leveled it so that we have a consistent gain going into the rest of our processing. We crossfaded it so that any changes of volume between the different parts wouldn't be so obvious and so that it can be a smoother take. And then the last thing we did was gain staged it so that it's ready and all prepped at the right volume to go into our compressors. So I hope this was helpful for you today, and stay tuned for next week when we're actually going to go over how to compress this vocal.